There's no way to lose this passport in China. I've thought a lot about it, so I was wondering where I could hide it in a place like a Chinese pressure room. I was extremely worried about what would happen if I couldn't find it, and in the end I thought it would be safest to keep it in my body. I tied it to my head with a cell phone. Now I put the passport in my bag. My son came to North Korea from South Korea. He must have been so shocked. I was so worried about my mom that I went home, and as soon as I entered, this jerk started cursing and saying he really came, and I just couldn't even unpack properly and had a fight. My chest hurt badly, but I didn't know why, so I just fell asleep. When I woke up around 10 in the morning, people were coming and going like they were touring a zoo, and they were all asking me questions.
So I went to Korea, and it's been about 3 years.
3 years.
I came after a long time, dyed my hair, and got a piercing in the back.
What is this?
I lived in South Korea, then crossed back to North Korea with a South Korean passport. Is this really just for a simple job?
So simple like that.
Who knows if I went back in to take on a mission?
I don't know if I thought I should report it, but I was young and naive, so I could have thought I came back with a simple mission. Even back then, I cursed a lot at the North Korean government. After my father's death and Kim Jong-il's in December, I was filming a documentary in Moscow and cursed a lot. Don't mess with the dead. This is why it's enforced.
About which my father was...
As he went on like that, my dissatisfaction grew and I thought I must have taken on some kind of duty. Such thoughts occurred to me. Whether it was this or that, I thought I would have a lot more to talk about with my mother once I opened my eyes, but I can't really remember what we talked about. When we suddenly met, we forgot everything we planned to discuss. We only talked about things like what to eat, and they looked at the things I brought with such curiosity, talking about trivial things like my bag and cell phone.
But what's curious is that my family doesn't ask much about what Korea was like when I went there. So
before I went, I filmed everything at home and showed them the videos. I mentioned this before, but no one believed me when I said I was going to the United States, not even my friends. No one in North Korea believed me, really, no one. They really didn't believe me. So what I felt was, these people, I've been loved and raised since I was young. When I described my experience of a different world after coming from that family, the family members didn't believe me and were skeptical about what I was saying. Like a planet, I orbit
outside the orbit.
I'm going out and telling you that the real sun is shining, but you don't believe it.
That cave?
Living in that cave, seeing some kind of light or picture. Now, it's not easy to really change. This place is already all settled as a field.
That's the problem. When I asked what you want to eat the most, you said what you want to eat. With black rice and species.
With farmer's soup, and when you come here, there are things that newcomers all want to taste once. So I tried it, but the taste was not what I thought it would be.
My taste has changed over the past 3 years, really.
It was tasteless.
After eating only delicious things in the Free Republic of Korea for 3 years, can you believe that it was tasteless?
I live in North Korea.
At that time I smoked.
I didn't drink or smoke, but since I came here, I learned to drink a little. The beer in Daesongdong is said to be well known.
Isn't that the case?
I've tried the beer in Daesongdong, but what kind of beer is this?
That is...
Because it's not refreshing. It reminds me of Cass, so whatever I thought, that was a bit disappointing.
It's similar, again.
I can't see, I can't feel, so I think I have good memories left. So I even cook and eat pork belly. But anyway, the meal there was just a bit mediocre.
So maybe the level of food culture in North Korea doesn't compare to our country, so that's that. So if you go directly and meet your mother, wouldn't the situation be smoothly resolved now? That wasn't the case. Now I
had an incident while I was there.
And then the National Police investigation started.
That's how it went from the night of May 20th until May 31st.
The special police came down.
The inspectors came in, probably thinking about it. So the brokers now, I went up the mountain the next day or so, did the logging and left and contacted them, and the broker sent me a message asking what happened to you now. A soldier who can't do anything is here to pass it on, coming down with some special equipment.
Do you know?
I received a voicemail proposing a meeting on the 2nd or 3rd of the month. I thought if I could just hold on until June 1st, almost like being on vacation, that would be enough. That's what I've been thinking. At that time in May, the mountains were full of rain, and I was sleeping inside the hut I built in the mountains. My mother would bring me food during the day, and at night I would go down without her knowing. That's how I lived. If I go on a bit further, what surprised me was that they gave me a lot of rice in the rice bowl.
That's how much?
My position has now been reduced. The rice cake soup, yeah, right. And if you don't eat that, you know where it hurts, and that was surprising. The rice cake soup,
Consume ample food while nursing to support milk production.
And I tried to cover my head, but now that I'm here and tasted the shower, that small piece of soap keeps slipping as you try to hold on to it, which is really uncomfortable.
Really?
Even if I die here.
I can't live, people who curse with a shower and feel their heads say that's the noise. But what is our country in North Korea?
You say,
Is it called a field? There, after shaving your head.
you mean to feel there was a shampoo. Luckily, there was a shampoo and a rinse, and you take a lot of water in a big bucket. This isn't even the Stone Age. It felt like I really traveled back in time. It was unbelievable. The Korea I experienced felt like a dream, and every time I woke up from sleep, I felt it, and I wondered if I kept coming out here. It was unsettling and lacked belonging, contrasting with my past 3 years.
The present doesn't go away.
It's coming, and as the days went by, I was afraid that I might not be able to go on like this.
Living there over time, it wasn't that I grew attached to North Korea.
Then
It was about how long I had been in North Korea while living there. So the past time was about 22 days. And if it's 22 days, it's almost a month. But during that month, I haven't met any friends who were in North Korea for almost 22 days. Too much.
Actually, I really want to see it.
I've been living in Korea for 3 years now without seeing my friends at all. They probably knew I went there. And I'm going to... If they had discussed it, they would have known, wouldn't they? If so, when I went and came back, I would definitely have had the feeling of wanting to see those friends.
Wrote a letter. To whom?
To my friends, to a certain person.
And I didn't write a name, just sent it to my friends. Now, just the friends I want to see.
And on A4 paper.
I wrote about 1 or 2 pages, and then I wrote down the feelings I had been holding back and the things I couldn't say. Now, I just told my mom to pass it on. All of those friends had gone to the military. Usually there were friends who didn't go to the military, but there were also friends who were on leave from the military among those friends who went. At that time, I really thought I must see this and go, but it seemed like his parents didn't want it, so I couldn't even talk about it. Actually, saying that I'm going to Korea and saying that I went and came back are different things, so that's a different thing. What I want to see is my own heart, but because of me, those people's families are hurt and my family is all in danger. So I couldn't really talk about it. I just divided up some of the money I had from China and gave it away, and that's how it ended. My friends kept visiting from Boebu, searching our house, and according to my mother, they burned all my photos. What I was most looking forward to when I went back to North Korea was getting my pictures and seeing my friends, and I thought I could just take them on my cell phone, but the opportunity to do so was gone, and I was very sorry about that. If I locked my cell phone for a week, I thought I could escape, and I kept extending it for a week. And every time I went to extend it, I lived up a high mountain where China could be seen. And if it took more than 3 minutes, I would be caught and the soldiers would come to catch me by car. I was scared. So I used my phone without the light showing, tucking it behind my clothes. When I came down, I saw escaped soldiers or something wandering around. I was very nervous about that. And sometimes I even hid with the soldiers. So I felt really scared, realizing that this was a really dangerous situation. From there, then on the night of June 10th, I went out again because I had an appointment with those soldiers, but somehow it didn't work out and I had to come back. I found it really strange that I had a hunch that day because nothing had happened for 20 days.
Too anxious.
Yes, that's how it is. One day, my mother asked for help from a relative in Korea during a 13-minute phone conversation, which I recorded on my cell phone.
So, that thing?
And after seeing that, I asked my mother what this was, and she said the conversation was a bit long because they sat down and talked. From that point forward, I felt very uneasy. And the reason I asked for help was because there was a way to cross the river by buying another person if I had 300,000 or 400,000 won in Korean money. I've heard a lot. I asked for help now to find someone else, but no one helped me, and now what is that again? The cell phone company I worked for didn't pay me a salary, even though they knew I couldn't return. Of course, that's the case. Seeing that situation. When I came back after failing, I first let my mother and father know, and if we have our house now, there's a school behind it. I watched a bit from behind the school fence. But when I went in, suddenly soldiers were coming out from the side of the house. I don't know if they were soldiers, and people were looking up at the parachute.
Because there were many soldiers.
There were about 10 of them, almost 5 outside, and when they went in, they were going in and out of the house, making a secret sound, and they were trying to save my father, and my mother was also making a secret sound, trying to alert me, right? Chinese money and currency came out of my body, and the Samsung phone I gave to my mother all came out, right? From there, The Korean flag came out and I ran to another friend's house. After seeing that, I had to pack my bags and I was packing another set of clothes, but now I know that her relatives live in many places in the neighborhood and came in. Those relatives are keeping their passports in the house and it's in the drawer. It's a top secret. I will do some house cleaning. After hearing that, I just didn't think anything of it. I just took my cell phone and locked the door and came out, and as soon as I turned around, I ran straight up the mountain. But the funny thing is, there are no trees on the North Korean mountain.
That's right, she.
If you look down, you can see everything. I really went up to the middle of the mountain quickly.
You can see everything.
So I just sat down to rest. If they want to come up, they should just walk slowly. Many paths lead to ruin if you ascend the mountain. These brats dragged their mom and dad to the bottom of that school fence, right where I could see, and started fighting. People turn around when I hear my mother's voice, secretly. I couldn't take it anymore, so I came down crying and running, determined to end it, even if it meant fighting or killing all four of them. My mother kept denying I was her child. Then a crazed dog entered, and I was so hungry that I fed it.
Such a sound.
Listen, now, if I catch it there, I'll ruin everything from the whole fortune to the palm of my hand. So I couldn't do anything and just sat down powerless and cried. Now really tears just naturally flow, feeling like I'm alone in the world, and there's nothing I can do about it there. And then in less than an hour they were playing around, and then mom and dad took them all away.
So in this way,
Incredibly,
it ended like that.
the North Korean kids took our parents and I had to go back to the brothel. I couldn't bring my passport when I left in a hurry, so I went back to get it. To be honest, it was a bit dangerous when I went back to that house. What if she's still waiting now? So I listened a bit in front of the door as usual.
I went in and it was quiet.
Now I'm going to go back to my friends and send them money. So mom, please take some out for me. Now I came out that way and went straight to the pressure river very quickly. And suddenly the day was bright. Haha, I couldn't sleep. It was day. The soldiers were there and I couldn't get close to them. It's over now.
Back home again?
I can't go back and there's nowhere else to go. I'm stuck. From that moment on, I was like a stray dog in North Korea, as they say, to wander around aimlessly. That's when it all started. I'm so hungry. And it's funny how people think they can't eat anymore. If you're hungry and still in one place, it's uncomfortable, so you keep going.
Walking around and so on.
I was also thinking about how my mom was dragged away and what she was going through. If it's any consolation, one of my friends told me that it's not like she was caught while on the run. She was taken from home, so it's not a criminal offense. He said that if we have about 10,000 in Chinese money, we might be able to do something about it. I'm holding on to the thought that if I can safely go to Korea, I can somehow find the money. But around that afternoon, I saw some kids I knew on the street, whether they were friends or whatever, and I just pretended not to know and passed by. But my friend's mother
was there, a friend of mine.
I was a bit hungry at home and was about to ask for help.
I went in, but just...
They told me to leave, so I stayed a bit and then just left. The child in that house is my friend. The friend I mentioned at first, the one I tried to bring to Korea, is that friend's cousin. Someone was here and this friend of mine bought headphones there, has a good job, and has no worries. So that friend went home to sleep and told me to go, but I'm not just anyone, I have to go. Even though they know how to speak Korean, they don't ask each other any questions like, how is that? They don't ask and say, you still want to go with me? They say they don't. So
I knew.
So I just have to live well with my mother, and I'm healed now, but I'm still uneasy about what to do if I report it. I can't believe people. Everything is suspicious. And I dyed my hair and I'm hiding in a hat, but you know, Ali, I've lost all my energy. So I was passing by the community center in the neighborhood, and someone kept staring at me. So they sent my mom from the ward office to catch you. I can't come out on parole. I have to see it 3 times a day. There are ward staff monitoring that house anyway. I can't get past that anyway. You're on parole now.
I thought about taking you in.
It seems like that. Now just go, he said. He said so, but my friend's mother wants to go together.
I also want to go.
This is how it is to Korea.
Friend's mother